I will now call to order the Chesterfield Township Planning Commission meeting on September 5th, 2023. Roll call, I will call the roll. Mr. Miller is here. Mr. LaBelle? Here. Mr. Demink? Here. Mr. Leonard? Here. Mr. Renault? Here. Mr. Jaworski? Here. Mr. Klonowski? Here. Mr. Carr? Here. Mr. Brokart? Here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Well, we have a flag out front there.
They moved it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the minutes of prior meetings. I will make a motion to approve the minutes of August 15th, 2023.
Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Miller, supported by Mr. Jaworski. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Approval of the agenda. I will make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Miller, supported by Mr. Demink. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We have one public hearing tonight, requesting to rezone property located on the northeast corner of 21 Mile Road and Sugar Bush from R1B residential, one family, to C3 general commercial. Parcel ID is 15-09-29-452-001. Rezone number 368, 21 Mile in Sugar Bush. Keenest R1B to C3. I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Miller, supported by Mr. Renault. All in favor?
Aye.
Ms. Osborne? One other thing, anybody that speaks at the podium has 3 minutes. When your time is up, we'll let you know. Thank you.
Thank you. So Commissioners, tonight we have a proposal for a rezoning. And your task tonight or in the future is to make a recommendation to the Township Board as to whether or not to approve this rezoning. The applicant is asking to rezone a site that's currently zoned R1B residential one family to C3 general commercial. The use that's been proposed in the application is a gas station and plaza with various convenience amenities. However, I'd like to note that the uses could change, and there is a long list of uses that are permitted and special land uses in the C3 district that you would be considering as potential future uses for the site. The site is 2.88 acres and right up the road here, so maybe some of you passed by it tonight coming here. The surrounding properties to the north and the east are zoned R1B as well and used for residential purposes. To the south across 21 Mile is also zoned R1B currently. It's vacant. Across Sugar Bush to the west, it's zoned office and is currently used as a credit union. And Kitty Corner, southwest across Sugar Bush and 21 Mile would be the nearest site that's also zoned C3, which is Sugar Bush Tavern. So with the rezoning, there's criteria that we look at. I'll walk you through those items. The first is whether or not the proposal is consistent with the master plan. You can see the map on page 3 of the review letter. The master plan designates this parcel as a medium density single family residential, which would support the current zoning of R1B. And like I mentioned, the surrounding uses are compatible with that as well. In the future land use map, the site across 21 Mile is designated for public and semi-public use, and Sugar Bush Tavern is designated as community-wide commercial. The site does have access to sewer, water, and the roads are already improved. The eastern portion of the site has hydric soils, but no surface water on the site. The third criteria or consideration is whether or not the applicant has provided evidence that the property cannot be developed or used as zoned. In your packets should be a letter from the applicant that indicated their concerns with the site being developed under the R1B permitted uses. So that could be a point of further discussion tonight. Item 4 discusses whether or not the proposed zoning district would be compatible with the surrounding uses. So C3 may be compatible with some of the uses that already exist along 21 Mile Road, but doesn't appear to be compatible with those that are directly abutting the site. The areas directly to the north and east of the site have less intensive uses, that being single-family homes. As I mentioned, across the street or kitty corner is Sugar Bush Tavern, and that is maybe one of the higher intensity uses in the area, followed by the credit union, which is directly to the west. Consideration 5 would be thinking about the burden on nearby thoroughfares. 21 Mile Road is classified as an arterial road and Sugar Bush as a minor arterial in the master plan. Currently, 21 Mile Road is classified as a minor arterial and Sugar Bush as a major collector. Depending on the use that goes into the site, whatever is developed, if this were to change to C3, there could be an increase in traffic and burning on the surrounding roads, but a full traffic study would be needed to confirm that. Consideration 6 would be if there's other land currently available for this use. There are other parcels zoned C3, including a mostly undeveloped section south of 21 Mile Road, east of I-94, as one example. There are other parcels that are C3 throughout the township, of course, and many of them are already developed. Consideration 7 would be focused on whether the site would be able to meet the zoning district requirements. The applicant has provided a concept plan of the site, but we would need a complete site plan to determine the full compliance with the district requirements. Consideration 8 is whether or not rezoning is the best way to handle this additional use, as opposed to adding the requested use to the R1B district uses, and that would be correct. The rezoning would be the best way to handle this. There hasn't been any changes to the property, anything noteworthy since the master plan was adopted in 2021. And then the final consideration has to do with spot zoning. And so the 3 questions will that kind of help you determine if a spot zoning is occurring is whether or not the request is consistent with the master plan, which we've discussed it is not. Whether or not the proposed zoning district is a logical extension of an existing zoning district in the area. Again, the closest C3 in the area is Kitty Corner. There's nothing adjacent that's C3. And then finally, if granting the request would grant a special benefit to the property owner or developer, and that would be for the Planning Commission to consider. I am happy to answer questions.
Thank you. Is the applicant here? Please come to the podium, sign in.
Checking. We're good. All right, a little introduction here. My name's Dave Kina. I live in Sterling Heights. I've been in the auto collision and custom car business since 1985, and I recently sold the business. I've also been a licensed residential builder since 1986, and since I sold my shop, I wanted to get more involved in residential building and thought Chesterfield might be a good place to do that. I'm here before you today to propose a rezoning of a 2.88 acre irregular shaped lot on the northeast corner of Sugar Bush and 21 Mile Road. I originally purchased this lot to construct R1B residential homes. But before I get into the commercial use of the property, I'd like to go over a few concerns I have with current R1B zoning after I purchase it for residential construction, and why that zoning may not be the best use for this particular property. In your packet,
There's a recent survey of the property split. I had 10 R1B residential lots, which is the initial plan I had for this property when I bought it. As you can see, none of the lots have a right angle, and 2 outer lots side are slightly non-conforming. I also did some measurements to see if I could put a road through the middle of through the road taking up the through the middle of the road, taking up the footage and made all of the lots non-conforming, and would add at least $50,000 to each home construction cost. During my property inspection, I had some concerns about the residential property sandwiched between 2 major roads that converge at the intersection of 21 Mile Road and Sugar Bush with nonstop traffic 24/7 and with no lighted pedestrian crosswalks anywhere. The pie-shaped property has 3 major roads on 3 sides of it, which would be a major noise issue for any residents if those houses were built on that property. There's a zoning ordinance. It is actually for 6.1 site plan review, paragraph B. Now, this code mainly pertains to commercial development, but there are some issues of public health, safety, points of conflict that would pertain to the residential construction on this property. I would like to read that code for you if it's okay. It's paragraph B, planning standards. In reviewing all applications for the site and approval, the Planning Commission shall consider the plan in relation to the following standards. 1, vehicular access and circulation. The location and design of driveways providing vehicular access to the site shall be arranged to promote the safety and convenience of vehicles, pedestrians, and to provide access in the manner that promotes proper internal circulation. The Planning Commission shall require public streets adjacent or through proposed development when it is necessary for the public health, safety, welfare, and or provide continuity to the public road system. In those instances where the Planning Commission determines that there are an excessive number of curb cuts in relation to abutting public roads, thereby diminishing the capacity of the road or creating excessive points of conflict, a reduction of the number of driveways shall be required. I already told you that I did some measurements, and I can't put a road through the middle of that property because it makes all the property non-conforming. So all the driveways would have to be on the outside on Sugar Bush and 21 Mile Road. My original R1B plan is to divide the 2.8 acres into 10 lots, 5 lots on Sugar Bush side of the property that will have 5 curb cuts, driveways located on the curved portion of the road with limited sight distances and cars traveling at posted 40 miles per hour. And the other 5 curb cuts on 21 Mile Road with a posted speed of 55 miles an hour at the 21 and Sugar Bush traffic light intersection with cars braking and accelerating 24/7. These R1B driveways will have vehicles pulling in and backing out into traffic, further creating excessive points of conflict. The point is that there just may be too many residential driveways in close proximity to the 21 and Sugar Bush intersection. My commercial proposal will only have 4 curb cuts with no reversing into traffic, 2-way drives, reducing points of conflict over the original R1B subdivision plan. Okay, that's the residential part. Now I would like to explain a little bit on the commercial proposal I have here. There'd be 2 phases. Phase 1, I'd do a property split and a gas station type party store, convenience store, like a Buscemi's type of store, located on 1 acre of the westerly portion of the property. Gas station party store would consist of a 3,300 square foot party store, quality brick construction, ingress and egress on both 21 and Sugar Bush will be used in conjunction with the Plaza Phase 2 drives. Approximately 24 parking spots, enclosed dumpsters, gas pumps with canopy, air pump, car vacuum, non-intrusive lighting. The Phase 2 would be a 10-unit, 14,000 square foot plaza located on the easterly remaining 1.88 acres. 10 units, approximately 1,400 square foot each, ingress and egress on both 21 and Sugar Bush roads. Approximately 70 parking spots, 2 enclosed dumpsters. I also pulled up online a GIS map of the local area, and there's a lot of residential property still available in this area. So there is really no need for additional residential property. So change to C3 would not be a problem there. But there is a need for local convenience. Simply, there are really no convenience stores in the area. You have to travel to Gratiot or 23 Mile Road roads to find anything. I did a Google Map search for shopping plazas, gas, beer, wine, liquor, meat, grocery, and a few other related convenience businesses, and you have to travel a good distance to find any of these conveniences. Both the gas station and the shopping plaza will face away from Sugarbush Road and any across the road residential homes, so any lighting will be blocked by the structure. Also, the east and north sides of the property, there will be trees and shrubs in between any residential. This will ensure not to create any more light than normal subdivision light for any residents in the area. Also, a 6-foot concrete fence will border the easterly lot line that abuts the one residential lot in the area. Now, you had the Giffords-Webster report. In the report, they stated that I may be trying to overbuild on the property. Now, the property percentage of building to lot that is on the screen that I had there is 14%. Now, I know the township has a formula that figures building to lot percentage with other variables added in such as parking, setback, and open areas, et cetera. All these codes will be followed when architects and engineers get involved. This particular drawing is just a concept for this rezoning meeting only. They also said something about vehicle congestion. The GW report stated that this design will create more traffic than the library that's proposed, the restaurant, and the credit union on the other 3 corners, which may be, but not much more. Since most of the travelers who will be using this facility will be locals who will not have to travel to either 23 or Gratiot for their amenities, but they would be traveling through this area anyways to get to those areas. So shops, those areas shops. So this really won't create more new traffic in the area. It'll just localize the traffic that would be on the roadways anyways. It will also reduce some congestion from those further 23 and Gratiot areas and keep it in the area that will never really be congested. I'd like to explain that. There won't be no congestion in the area. 21 and Sugarbush are not thoroughfare roads like Van Dyke, where you can travel through multiple cities and from all the way down from 94 all the way to Caseville. Basically, you turn right on 21 Mile Road, you run into the lake. You can't go any further. So you're not going to have people traveling back and through those areas. So most of those businesses, the traffic in those areas are basically the local business and the local people that are going to be traveling through those. I also pulled up a traffic count on 21 Mile Road. It came up as 14,708 per day. I think that's a little less because I do believe some of that is on the other side of 94. Sugarbush came up to 6,935 per day. And then I also went online and I pulled up a road capacity calculator that you punch in speed limit, lane count, dedicated left turn, width of road, traffic signals, etc. And it came up for Sugarbush. It could handle 2,700 cars per hour. That's 64,000 cars per day. That's the capacity of Sugarbush is only 10% right now. 21 Mile Road came up at 6454 per hour, 155,000 per day, and that's only at 9% capacity as it is right now. You could pretty much completely build on every vacant lot, commercial and residential in the area, double the population and traffic, and it's still only going to max out at about 20% on both of these roads. There will never really be a congestion problem in these areas. So, with this being said, I have to ask a question. If you were in the market to buy a vacant residential lot and build a 400,000 plus home, would you consider purchasing one of these noisy lots sandwiched in between 2 major highways with stop and go traffic intersection with no traffic signal crosswalks present, or would you maybe search elsewhere where it's a little quieter, safer, and more secluded? If your answer is probably not, then this is probably not a good R1B zoning for this property. C3 is undeniably a much better fit. Thank you for your time.
The next portion is the residents can speak. They have 3 minutes. If you want to come up to the podium, sign in, state your name. You have to address the commission, not the applicant.
Okay. Sorry, I'm putting my address. 1 second. Okay. Okay. I have a letter or like something written? Oh, is this better? Okay. Okay, hi, my name is Erin Tafoya Schloss. This is my husband, Andrew Schloss. We purchased the house that is directly north of the site, in the red and gray house. Many of you probably know where it's at. Okay, my husband and I purchased our house back in 2020, and we're excited to grow our family in the area with an amazing school district and our own little slice of the mini country and escape from the hustle and bustle. Seeing that the library could possibly open nearby, I dreamed of taking my son each day to take advantage of the wonderful services that our community offers. When he was 2 weeks old, we would even come to the township offices and walk, and it was wonderful. The lot next door, being residential, reminded us that we could have neighbors soon, and this was fine, and we're excited, but with the proposal of the rezoning to put a gas station and shopping plaza concerns me. On a personal level, I worry about the dropping property value, the safety, and the negative environmental impact. I think we all see how high our water table is with the recent floodings, and that can cause issues. If a gas station is built in this area, I worry about the negative impact that this could have on the nearby lake with runoff. For safety, my son is only 2, and a 6-foot wall won't do much when there are constant people moving in and out of businesses, which will increase traffic patterns worse than they already are. I reviewed his letter to the township, and I had a few comments regarding his application and proposal. He stated that he searched the area for local convenience-type businesses in the area, and there is relatively none available, as he stated in his letter, and that he believed the area would benefit from this. Being a resident for close to 3 years now, I can confidently say that there are plenty of local convenience shops and gas stations near the site. In fact, a quick Google search on Google Maps yields 6 gas stations within 2 miles of the site, and 3 of which are under a mile away. On a quick search, it appears that he is not a resident of Chesterfield, and he stated that he is a resident of Sterling Heights. I find it hard to believe that he would have an understanding about what would benefit our community without living here or serving the members of this community. He's not spoken with any of the residents, as far as I am aware, in the surrounding area regarding this assumption. We especially would not find the proposed business plans beneficial to the area. Plenty of these proposed businesses are available close by. Some plazas still sit empty in surrounding areas, and there's plenty of business locations that are currently zoned that are empty. He also stated that the property rezoned as commercial would be consistent with the 3 other corner properties at 21 and Sugar Bush, which are zoned commercial, and I have to disagree. The future site of the library would pose low traffic patterns when compared with a gas station, and the credit union has low traffic patterns currently, and Sugar Bush Tavern has some busy times, but with operating hours, it does not create extreme traffic patterns currently.
Time's up. Time's up.
She's got
3
one
minutes.
paragraph left, if that's okay.
One more thing.
Time's up.
Okay.
We worry about safety and traffic. Sure.
Hello, I'm continuing her letter. He also stated this property rezoned as commercial would be consistent with 3 other corner properties at 21 and Sugar Bush, which are zoned commercial. I have to disagree. The future site of the library would pose low traffic patterns when compared with a gas station. The credit union has low traffic patterns, and Sugar Bush Tavern has some busy times, but with operating hours does not propose extreme traffic patterns. If a business or a gas station is built on this plot, we would see large increase in traffic patterns, creating an already dangerous curve to become more dangerous for families. Some individuals of the community jog, or ride their bikes down Sugarbush, and I worry for their safety of our community if there's an increase in traffic. Building the lot residential would follow the pattern of lower traffic patterns in the area. David Keene has the opportunity to revise his residential plan to fit the land best. He can elevate his own financial burden, as he stated, by reworking the residential plan to something more realistic for this piece of land. Or he could sell the land. On paper, his measurements seem to fit for a business, but the reality is that he is creating a scenario which would harm the community and residents surrounding this piece of land in more ways than one. My only comment is, he knew what he bought when he bought it. And now, since he didn't want, he can't make as much money, this is my perspective, he wants to change it.
Ma'am, could you sign in, please? Sure. State your name and sign in, please. Thank you.
Jennifer McClory, I live in Sugarbush Farms. Hey.
Hi, my name is Judy McMicking, and I just want to say I'm against the rezoning of 21 in Sugarbush. We don't need another gas station. We've got 8 or 9 of them. Look down the road for party stores. You got BJ's, you got Cabela's. That was all supposed to be stores and restaurants. What is it? It's a garbage dump. And as far as what he was saying, it won't give us more traffic. Yes, it will give us more traffic. So more people and children possibly are going to get hurt by this. He bought it for residential, not business. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Ms. Baum?
If the next person wants to speak, you can go up there and sign in on the table so that we can maybe speed things up a little bit.
Speed the process up?
Yeah.
If the next person that wants to speak goes up and signs in, it'll make it a little bit quicker.
This wasn't what I came here initially to talk about, but as long as you're talking about it, is it absolutely necessary to jam a building into every open lot? Every tree has to be cut down. The very thing that made this township attractive to people who've lived here for decades is being destroyed. I'm sure there's plenty of money to be had, and I'm sure, I don't see the gentleman, I'm sure he's ready to make it. But for those of us who have lived here, who just recently, I've seen wild turkeys down the street here, deer, all kinds of things. It's all gone. It's going to be killed. It's going to be destroyed, and it's not improving the quality of life. Now, we had the storm a couple weeks ago. I still can't get rid of the storm damage because GFL won't pick it up. So that's something for you to think about if you want to live here. I got a pile of, basically it's becoming a health hazard. Old dog food, we lost everything. And GFL twice now have given me a number telling me when they're going to pick it up, and they've never showed. So before you go building, think about the fact they can't handle what's going on here now. What's going to happen when they've jammed a building or a business or a house into every open field, every lot in this township. We don't need any more. Enough's enough. And if you can finally somehow get GFL to do the job that we're paying them to do, come over to Pheasant Street, I'm really upset, and pick up the dangerous stuff. If we can get the cops even to do around, so that people coming out.
We need to
opening-
keep on the topic.
You
Not
can't
on
talk about
GFL.
This
GFL.
is the topic. It's
Sir,
that
sir.
We can't take care of what we got now, and you want to build more.
You have to address
Okay,
the zoning
I got people
issue,
opening up my
not the
garbage
GFL.
bags and leaving them open, and now no one's picking it up. What's going to happen? You want to put more businesses? Take care of what you got. Take care of the homes you got.
Thank you.
Sir, with regards to GFL, if you have a question with that, you need to call the township's offices or address the township board. This is the planning commission. These are all, hold on, let me just explain. Let me just explain, please. These are all residents like you. I'm the only elected official up here. Okay, I know about the GFL things with everything going on, but when you went off track, that's why we cut you off, because you have to speak on the agenda item, which is this property at 21 in Sugarbush, okay? I'm just telling you, I'm just trying to tell you how this has to work. I understand. I understand, sir. Thank you. Nope, somebody was reading the wrong stuff on Facebook. This has got nothing to do with the flooding. Sorry, ma'am.
Property in Chesterfield Township matters, regardless if it was someone's gas station or a home that's lived there for 4 years.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Ma'am, you can't talk from that, okay? You're out of order. It's the next person. Just giving you the rules, the way we follow it. Okay, I'm just trying to be polite and advise you how to do that, okay, ma'am? Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, Ken Slezak, hate public speaking, so bear with me. My wife and I, we moved here back in 2016, so we've been here going on 7 years now, actually just over 7 years. We're raising our family. We have 3 children. I've got 2 twin boys, they're 2 years old, and a 6-year-old daughter, she started first grade today. When we were looking for homes, my stipulation, you know, everybody wants this or that in a home. My stipulation when we were looking at Chesterfield was east of the freeway. Because, as the first speaker said, it's your little piece of the country. It's not the concrete jungle. There are not gas stations. There's not a McDonald's on every corner. But everything you do need, all of that stuff, is just 1.5 miles, 2 miles away. It's right over the bridges, okay, or just up 21. Why put a gas station in, 1 mile from the freeway? It's to pull people off of the freeway. Whether that be trucks or people headed up north or people who live in St. Clair, the fact that it's all of us who will be going to this gas station, I believe to be incorrect. He's trying to pull people off of the freeway. If that was the case, why open a gas station? Why not just do the mini mall? Why not just put in a salon? That caters to the community. Gas stations cater to people coming up the freeway. As well as there being many vacant lots zoned for this, just 1/2 mile up the street. I'm assuming where Cabela's is, you mentioned it earlier. I think there's plenty of space. I think he did not do his due diligence. I think it's been for sale forever. He should have had the time to go out there and measure and say, okay, here's where my driveways are gonna go. Here's where my homes are gonna go. You don't do that stuff after you buy a parcel. You do it before. I'm only 37. I've bought 1 home in my life, and I know that. So I don't believe for a second he didn't know this, and it's been a plan since the beginning. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Shannon Thomas. I own the property right across from where he's proposing this, right next to the credit union. So me and my wife spend on a weekly basis picking up trash, from people littering their vodka bottles, vape sticks. It's like a constant battle, and traffic's pretty bad as it is now. So basically what everyone else has said, this guy, it's just a really bad idea, and I next to the fact I don't want to look at a gas station, but it's going to bring in more traffic that we don't need, more riffraff, and there's just, there's no need for it. I don't know what else to say other than the young lady said all of it earlier, but I hope you guys decide not to do this, just for the residents in the area and just to keep people that aren't residents out. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm a resident of Sugarbush Farms, and one of the things that we really appreciated as we were looking for a home was to not be at 23 Mile and Gratiot. We don't want the repeat of that. And so when you're talking about adding more businesses in the area, that's what you're doing, is you're crowding us out like what's happened at 23 and Gratiot. That is just a dangerous place. And we're driving 55 miles an hour down this stretch that you're talking about. And you're going to have people pull in to these stores. The other thing is strip malls. You know that we see so many empty strip malls around town, and it's so unattractive. It looks so bad. And what are we going to do with those strip malls? Are we going to put in more tattoo parlors? Are we going to put in, places where we can get some marijuana and turn Chesterfield into this? And I just don't know what's going to happen with these strip malls. We don't need a gas station. The traffic, obviously he's never been down Sugarbush during rush hour. Okay? You all know how this gets, and it gets very crowded. And so to say that Sugarbush can handle more traffic, where are you coming from? You've never been around here. You live in Sterling Heights. No, it's not going to happen.
Janice Young, I live in Yorkshire. The first resident said everything anybody could actually say, so I just ditto everything she said. Obviously, the applicant does not live in the area. Sugarbush cannot handle any more traffic. I get diverted that way when I can't get to my home in Stonehenge. If Gratiot or 23 is backed up, or Cotton, I can't get down. You sit there, I mean, it's a four-way stop at Sugarbush and Cotton. And there are 4 gas stations, Cotton and Jefferson, BJ's, Speedway, 21 and 94, 21 and Gratiot. There's already 4 gas stations right there. And some of the other residents already made the comment. People moved here because we wanted the open space, the green space, easy access to 94, easy access to the lakes. We liked the nature that was out here, and it's all disappearing. Everything's being, jammed into every little square inch that we have. And when is it going to be enough? And the board has already approved a northeast sanitary sewer to be built. Why can't he go out there? I know he bought this property. That's a shame on him for buying something he can't develop the way he wants. But go north. There's more space out there. He can pay to hook up into that sewer system and start paying back the $6 million bond that we're spending. In 10 houses, I don't know about traffic, but I mean, how many cars are there per home? 2? Maybe 3? So you're talking 20, 30 cars versus a gas station, a liquor store, a strip mall. That's going to be hundreds and hundreds of cars all day. There's not room for that out there. I'm opposed to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak? It's the last chance. Anybody else like to speak? If not, I'm going to let the applicant come back up and address us. If he has any.
Yeah, he's got one thing to say here. Like I did, I originally bought it to do R1B housing, and I still have no problem doing that. But I doubt if it's going to be 10 brand new $400,000 houses. I'm going to have to do what I can to make a decent profit on it. So I'll probably end up just doing a quick split on it and building 4 houses and then just move on my way. So it's up to you what you guys want to do.
Do you want to withdraw your petition, your request to rezone?
Oh, no, I'm not pulling. I still want to rezone.
Okay. I'll bring it back up to.
Would you rather have 4 low-budget houses on that property or a nice facility? All right, that's the
Okay.
choice.
I'm going to bring it back to the board. Mr. Demink?
I don't know who's been around here, but I've been around here all my life. So back in the 60s, there used to be a red and white house on that corner, if there's any old timers around here. There are gas stations. Got the one at 21 and 94, the one at Cotton and Jefferson. You do have a convenience store, sir, at Cotton and Jefferson, Lakeville, and you got Geno's at Anchor and Jefferson. So thing about there's nothing close. I disagree with you. Traffic, yep, Sugar Bush is backed up. And we all know with 94 closed down in the last couple of weeks, what's up with 21 and Jefferson, right? Everything's backed up on 21, Sugar Bush is backed up. People can't even get out here to go home. So yeah, there's a problem. I don't think a convenience store and a gas station is a good spot right there. In my idea, I think you'd stick with residential and like say, go to bigger lots. Hold on a second. Wait. That's just me, okay? But, you know, I'm not in favor of the convenience store gas station there. I think there's too much traffic. I can understand your concern with vehicles pulling out on 21. I grew up at 21 and 94, so I know what that, I remember 21 Mile Road was a gravel road when I was like 4 years old. So that's how far I go back in this township. But yeah, convenience store there with more traffic and it's backed up. Yeah, there's stuff around. If you want to go with some smaller lots, I understand the amount of curb cuts on 21 because pulling out on 21, anybody pulled off a Sugar Bush or you pull out of the credit union or out of Sugar Bush Tavern, yeah, it's crazy. You know, we've had a lot of fatal accidents over the years at 21 and Sugar Bush, and that's with a left turn like there. So, you know, whatever you decide, but I will not support a gas station or convenience store there or strip mall. I just think it's not what we need there right now. And you hear the residents, and they're all here tonight. But this is Planning Commission. That's why I wanted, when I interrupted the other people, so I wanted you to know, these guys are all residents. I'm the elected person. I'm the one that got voted in here many years back. So I wasn't trying to be mean to the other person, but we have to talk what's on the agenda item. That's the way the meeting works. So, but that's where I stand, sir. I'm sorry, I understand you're a developer, you want to make some money, but I can't support what you want. That's the end of my comment, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I'm going to make a motion to close the public hearing. Support. I have a motion by Mr. Miller, supported by Mr. Renault. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Mr. Brokart?
I'd like to make a motion that we vote on the issue tonight.
Can we finish our comments first?
Oh, absolutely. Then I have a few things to say. Thank you. I love the passion that the citizens come up with. I made mention to my neighbor here that so many were so polite. In the past, we've had open forums where it kind of gets out of hand, and it doesn't look right. It doesn't feel right for Chesterfield. Tonight was different. You guys are very passionate, and I agree with a lot of things that you said, and we'll leave it at that. So thank you for coming out.
Mr. Renault?
Yeah, I just want to echo the same sentiment there. Thank you. We appreciate what you did in our first speaker, and then I'm assuming a neighbor came up and finished the letter. The appropriate, okay. Very much the appropriate way to do that, so thank you very much. We do appreciate that. I was curious who lived right behind it, how quick they were going to get up there. But I can tell you I'm in agreement. I don't think it's the right place for that. I can't support that. So that's all I have.
Mr. Carr?
No, I mean, since we're just talking about zoning, yeah, I mean, I'd be open to rezoning, but I don't believe what he's proposing is the right fit for that location. And the only way I would open up to rezoning is if it was something that was more compatible, because I do agree that that's an odd-shaped lot for houses. So again, I'd be open to it, just not with what he's doing. Because if we're gonna go against our master plan, which currently has that zone as residential, then it's gonna have to be something that integrates with more synergy into the community.
Thank you. Mr. Jaworski?
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with that as well. I mean, looking at the master plan that we spent a lot of time on, we really focused on harmony in the neighborhoods. That's not harmonious in the neighborhood. Let's break it down to the nuts and bolts. Party store, convenience store went out of business at Cotton and Jefferson because it couldn't support itself. Down the road, we rezoned something commercial to residential because we kept hearing how there's not enough traffic down that way to support anything commercial. Another reason there. Culver's was turned down because it was too much in a neighborhood area. Same reason. He purchased the property after the master plan, and he purchased it as a residential. Now it's zoned commercial. I can't support that. And the last thing I had, crap. And the only other thing I was just gonna say was that if it was rezoned commercial, they could change it to anything they would want it, so I can't support it.
Thank you. Mr. Klinowski?
I would echo the same. It's very important that we're looking at a rezoning, and it's a C3, and anything in that C3 could be placed on that property now or in the future. I think another point I want to make for the residents, the purpose of a public hearing is to bring information forward so we can make an informed decision. And I think you've done a pretty good job at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Leonard?
Yes, I pretty much agree with many of the comments made tonight. I think the rezoning is just too much of an impact on that corner. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a gas station or strip mall. There's a lot of different uses that could come in there that would maybe be even worse. But I wanted to address, there's a couple comments made by some folks that have been here for a while and moving out here for the green space. I've been out here since 1986. And I remember when I first came out here, 21 Mile Road from Gratiot to Van Dyke was gravel. There was no subs out there. Things are going to change. But I think the change that we all want is what's appropriate in an area. So we're going to see less animals. You know, the one cool thing that we have around here that we see is there's a bald eagle. And I doubt very much anybody's going to mess around with that area where that eagle lives. It's the property's part of the for the veterans now. So, but it's going to change, and I just think that we're all responsible enough. And the master plan, a lot of effort went into the master plan, and things were changed in it, and things were left alone for a variety of reasons. And I don't think I can support a rezone on this property, regardless of gas station or anything else. It's just too much for that to be rezoned. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. LaBelle?
Well, I'm going to echo what everybody else said. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. It's important as, as a citizen to come out and get involved in your community. We really do appreciate you coming this evening. The first thing I'd like to bring up is, there was a term that was used in the Giffords-Webster write-up. It was called spot zoning. And in my opinion, I certainly can't comment on the third item, but the first two items I can, and say that the area around this site is residential. Even the bank or the credit union that's across the street is actually zoned medium density residential. So the only real commercial property in the area is the Sugar Bush Tavern, which is kitty corner from this piece of property. So in my opinion, this is a spot zoning situation. A few things that when you make it a C3 piece of property, when you change it to a C3, there is special land uses that the applicant can apply for. Just a few of them are amusement and recreational services, except for racing, automotive repair servicings, bowling alleys, drive-in theaters, fast food restaurants, gasoline service stations, open air uses, including retail plant materials not grown on site, but like a nursery, outdoor sales of secondhand automobiles, a PUD, public utility buildings, adult bookstores, adult motion picture theaters, adult mini motion picture theaters, Group D cabarets, hotels and motels, pawn shops, pool or billiard halls, car washes. So there's a lot of things that can go into C3, and we are here tonight to only consider going from residential to C3. We're not considering a site plan. We're not considering anything else this evening. With that being said, I'm also opposed to it.
Thank you, Mr. LaBelle. I too am opposed to this rezoning. When I moved out here in 1997, I told my wife that we could not move past 21 Mile. So I'm in the same area as all of you, and I don't want it either. Okay? Okay, Mr. Brokart, you had a comment you wanted to make about?
I'd like to make a motion that we vote on the issue tonight, rather than wait the traditional 2 weeks.
I'll support.
We have a motion by Mr. Brokart, supported by Mr. LaBelle. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
With that said, I'd like to make my first motion. I'd like to, Mr. Chairman, enter a motion to recommend to the board not to rezone this property, considering 4 items. First, it's inconsistent with the future land use plan as detailed in our master plan. Secondly, I'm not convinced that the land cannot be developed for residential as is currently zoned. Third, the proposed zoning is not compatible to the adjacent properties. And lastly, other land already zoned C3 is available in that area. So for these reasons, I'd like to make a motion to recommend to the board not to go ahead and rezone this property.
Support. We have a motion by Mr. Brokart, Mr. Klinowski, seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
You understand we denied to rezone the property. Just so you know, I want to make it clear.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes.
Also, I want to remind everybody that we make a recommendation to the elected officials.
Right.
Now, so it's going to come in front of the elected officials, the regular board. So they can certainly overturn our ruling. So we're just making a recommendation to them. So there's still one more step that it has to go through. So I would recommend that when it is on the agenda for the regular board meeting, that you attend that meeting and speak to the regular, or your elected officials.
Mr. Palin, do you know when that meeting might be?
I don't have the exact date yet. You know, it's hard to get that set in stone when the decision hasn't been made yet. Typically, it's about 30 days. The township board meets on the 2nd and 4th Tuesday of every month, so you can keep an eye on the township website for the agendas.
And you won't get notified for that, so you'll have to
Correct. There
keep
is
an
no
eye.
notification, so keep an eye on the website for the agenda to be posted. It usually comes out a week before the meeting.
So it'll come up, it's probably going to be October, and it'll come up in front of the other 6 elected officials that I sit up here with at the full board meeting. Watch the township website. The agendas usually come out on the Thursday before the 2nd and 4th Tuesday, and that'll be on there, and then you guys can see it.
Do they usually go with or go against?
I would recommend, if you have an interest, like you showed up tonight, don't let this be your last meeting. So it's up to you guys, but if you have an interest, we don't ever know if they think the way we do. You know, they didn't sit through the whole meeting. So, yeah, just show up and voice your concerns and.
Say they approve it, can we appeal it or no? Once it's done, it's done?
Mr. DeBink?
When it comes to the township board, myself along with my 6 fellow people, we could approve it and override what happens up here. And it's gone both ways at the township board meeting on certain issues. But rolling the dice here, from me, I think the township board will affirm the decision made by these planning commission members. But don't hold me that, but I'm just saying, roll of the dice.
Not that you don't live that far away either.
All right.
Okay.
Have a good night, folks.
All right, thank you. If you want to Could you please exit the room? The next item on the agenda is Bass Pro Shop, Special Land Use Number 2023-09. Our Secretary Rick will do this item.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item A in the reviews is Bass Pro Shops, Special Land Use 2023-09, M1, 6.6 acres south of 21 Mile Road, east of Continental Drive. Parcel ID is 150932126-017. The address is 27576 21 Mile Road. The public hearing was closed and the decision was postponed on 7/18 of 2023. Ms. Osborne, do you want to go over your Giffords-Webster's report, please?
Sure, thank you. So the applicant did submit new plans. The letter, our review letter for that is in your packet. So I'll walk you through that. A lot of the plan is the same, but a lot of the comments that were made at the meeting in July were taken into consideration. So I'll try to walk you through that as well. As you know, the applicant's proposing a boat service center that's about 6,560 square feet, some of which is retail, and then a storage facility on the 6.6 acre site. The Planning Commission's task is to review the plans and make a determination if the special land use is allowable and if the site meets all the zoning standards and their intent. So some of the discussion items from the July meeting I included in the letter again because there were changes to the site. So things that you're maybe thinking, oh, we discussed those and approved them, I included them again just in case you wanted to revisit them. And those are outlined on the bottom of page 1, and I'll talk about them as I move through the letter. Page 3 notes some changes to the site access. So the site will still be accessed from 21 Mile Road and Continental Drive. From 21 Mile Road, the vehicles can get to the parking area and service center as well as to the boat inventory and parking area. The gates on the fencing that surrounds the site have changed. They're now 36-foot sliding gates instead of 24-foot. And that same sort of sliding gate is also available from Continental Drive to the boat storage area. Page 4 gets into some of the development standards. A residential green belt is required since there's a residential zoning district across 21 Mile to the north. That requires a 5-foot high landscaped berm, and the applicant has currently shown on the plans a 3-foot tall landscape berm. And the berm extends along 21 Mile Road almost to the north edge of Continental Drive entrance. There's a gap there, so that's something the Planning Commission may wish to discuss with the applicant. I'll note in my letter on page 4, I had made a comment that the applicant hadn't noted any roof-mounted appliances, but that's incorrect. Their sight lines don't show any roof-mounted appliances. Another comment or discussion point from last time would be concerns related to outdoor storage. That's at the top of page 5. So if there are any concerns with that, we can discuss that with the applicant again tonight. Also, a correction on my part on the bottom of page 5, the applicant did change the location of the storage area, so it's now compliant and is no longer within the 100 feet to the property line that abuts the residential district. In terms of other nuisances, that's an item F at the bottom of page 5. If you have concerns about noise, odors, etc., that can be discussed tonight. At the top of page 6, we get into the building surface materials. The applicant is proposing a gray brick on the lower half of the building with a red and white pre-finished ribbed metal siding with pre-finished black metal panels, canopy, and a roof on the front and sides of the building. And so it the planning commission should just review this and make sure that it's acceptable. Information about the bollards was not provided in the original information provided, but I see it's been provided in the notes here that were provided to us at the start of the meeting. They appear to be the correct height. I don't know that they had the information about color, but the planning commission can discuss that with the applicant, or maybe the applicant can address that in their comments. Page 7 discusses the screening, and there are currently prohibited trees that were included on the landscaping plan and the screening. Those should be removed, and just some cleanup on the notes, making sure that we get the right size trees. 2.5-inch caliper is required for the red maples. And then finally, in terms of the wall that's been proposed, we just need to know the length to confirm the correct number of trees that are required for the screening. So just a couple things that can be done administratively there. Page 9, a little bit more about landscaping, needing to know about the seating of the site, and then ensuring that the frontage trees are within a 10-foot wide landscape area. That should be included on the plans. On page 10, we start looking at lighting. I had an incorrect note here. The calculations have been provided for both the average level of illumination and the average, the uniformity ratio, and both are compliant. Page 11, the applicant changed the plans to show 6 vehicles with trailers along the access drives. At the last time we reviewed this plan, we had discussed the possibility of, or if there was a need for specific parking spaces for vehicles with trailers. There aren't parking spaces, so I just wanted to point out that they have shown how many can be placed in the access drive, and so that may be something that you would like to discuss with them tonight. The boat inventory area is proposed to be gravel, and so the Planning Commission, again, can discuss if that's of concern. At the bottom of page 11, top of page 12, there was some discussion in pre-planning tonight. I believe the Planning Commission asked for a deceleration lane on 21 Mile, but there was a little bit of back and forth, so maybe the Planning Commission can confirm that during their discussion tonight. There are a couple of notes about the bicycle parking facilities. The facility location hasn't changed since the previous plan. They're still located within the parking setback along 21 Mile Road, and some administrative things like the distance from the main entrance and the details should be provided so that we can confirm that those are compliant. The Planning Commission, however, might want to talk about if the bicycle parking is sufficiently separated from the access aisle from 21 Mile Road, and if they feel that it's safe for pedestrians and bicyclists to cross there. At the top of page 14, we get into fencing, and they did update the fencing. Again, the sliding gates are now 36 feet instead of 24. A 6-foot tall chain link fence is still proposed, but it's going to include privacy slats along the whole way, including the gates. Again, in pre-planning, we discussed that a more decorative fence had been requested along 21 Mile Road, so the Planning Commission might want to talk to the applicant about that. At the bottom of page 14, there are some requirements for the site plan application, including the dimension floor plans, which I see are in the information we received at our seats tonight. And then just some general circulation concerns if the Planning Commission had any that could be cleared up tonight, hopefully. And then finally, the dumpster enclosure. There was discussion last time about where that was located and how it would be accessed, and what it would look like, the materials. And so the dumpster has been moved. It's now in the northwest corner of the boat parking lot. And the information provided at our seats tonight has a rendering of that enclosure. So that's all I have for my review. Happy to answer questions.
No?
I'm all set, thank you.
Nothing additional, just because I think she summarized some of the points that we did bring up at the last meeting that were not addressed, and obviously I'm a big fan of the decel lanes, because I'm the one who asked for it. So I guess my question is I don't think I need to re-ask, obviously, what she's got in her letter, but I think some of those do need to be still addressed, because I do recall, in particular, the decel lane, I do remember talking about the frontage of the fence on 21. I'm just picking the ones that I know, that I think are critical. And also, we talked about landscaping on the east side. Because they're not developing the parcel on the east side, we did talk about some type of a natural screening than just a chain link fence on that east side, and I think that does need to be addressed in a more aesthetically pleasing manner than what is currently dictated on the drawings. So those are some of the key ones that I want to make sure don't get forgotten by the board when we're making a decision.
Mr. Demink, you have any questions?
I'm good with everything. I mean, I think it's gonna be a
Mr.
top-notch
Jaworski?
operation and everything else.
Thanks. Mr. Jaworski?
No comment from me.
Mr. Klinowski?
Yeah, I think the deceleration lanes, I think, is an issue for me as well. But other than that, I'm good with it.
Thank you. Mr. Leonard?
I'm all set, thank you much.
Mr. LaBelle?
How do you want to go about this? You want to review what's missing and have them speak on it, or?
Yeah, you could just tell what you talked about with them.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had the opportunity to spend a few moments with the gentleman before the meeting, and we did discuss many of these items. If you'd like to comment on where we stand with the updating of the drawings, cleaning the drawings up so that it reflects a 2.5-inch caliber tree, the building material, the gap, we had talked about the landscaping on the decorative wall in the back of the property, the gap with the trees, the landscape berm. So if you would just spend a few moments in the decel lane, if you could spend a few moments and talk about that.
Sure, thank you. My name's Ray Myers. So yes, to briefly kind of touch on all of the topics. For the 5-foot berm, ultimately, it actually is 5 feet. We just didn't extend the section far enough to show the 5 feet. For the wall on the residential piece, we have the 6-foot wall. The gaps that we were showing in that where those prohibited trees are, we were trying to keep those trees, so we're gonna now take those trees out and just do a continuous row of trees along that wall on the residential piece. I think to talk about the decel lane, ultimately, I think we were here to do what the board recommended us to do. And the way I left the meeting was understanding that y'all were gonna talk about that and sort of give us direction. So it's ultimately a neutral. If you want a decel lane, we're happy to put one in. But, between the drive pulling into Continental, I think the minimal traffic that this operation actually produces, you're not going to have a whole lot of that interaction with slowing down. But we are, if one is recommended and would like it, we can do that. I'm not sure what other comments that, if there are any other questions or comments, happy to directly address them now.
Thank you. Mr. LaBelle, you have anything else?
Well, Ms. Osborne also brought up the decorative fence on the 21 Mile roadside, as well as what Mr. Carr was speaking of.
Yes, along 21 Mile Road, we can change that frontage fence to be a decorative fence. And that decorative fence is going to be at the storage area line. It's not, just to make sure, it's not a frontage fence along all of 21 Mile. It's just the fence that's fronting 21 Mile at the storage. Yes.
Is that it? Okay, yep.
Other than the only other thing is just, we talked about doing some type of landscaping screen on the east side of the chain link portion of it, because it's just because it's open storage, right? We try to screen that as much as possible. And I believe you're just using slatted galvanized, I think you're just using slatted chain link fence, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so last time we did talk about them adding landscaping there to aesthetically improve.
Okay, yeah, sorry, so we added a couple trees on the frontage of 21 at that front fence. We didn't add anything on the east side.
Yeah, you put it along the roadway, it looks like.
And kind of right adjacent to the frontage that faces 21 Mile.
So what's the intent with the balance of that lot? What is the intent?
So that's gonna be a short grass mix. We actually picked one, and I can give some species of that. It was from Michigan Wildflower Farm. It's a big blue stem, switchgrass, little blue stem, and a sour brimstone. So the intent is, Bass Pro Cabela's wants it to look like kind of like a prairie or a natural zone that's not overgrown, but they also don't want to run a mower every week. And so the intent is to cover it with something that's native, you have to mow maybe once a year if you want to regenerate it, but it's meant to be long-lasting, low-maintenance, environmentally friendly area.
Is the intent ever to split it and sell it off, or the plan is just to keep it?
No, they're not trying to sell it. So when we started when we started the design work, they were gonna do the whole thing as a storage area.
Yeah.
And ultimately, they just realized from a budgetary standpoint that this was the amount of space that they wanted to pave and fence and use.
Yeah, no, I'm very comfortable with I recommend those wildflower mixes everywhere anyway, so that's what I think that's a great proposal. And I'm okay with the tree lines. I think that as long as it's on 21 Mile Road, I think that's aesthetically, that should probably be sufficient. But I am a fan of the de-acceleration lane. That's a 55-mile-an-hour road, and people, including me, exceed that every day. It's a reality, right? And so, because we know it's a reality on 23 Mile Road and 21 Mile Road, you have to make adjustments for that. You have to allow for that. And anytime you can allow people to be able to pull off and de-accelerate as much as they can, to allow traffic to continue to go through, I think it's a good thing. So, my recommendation as a board member, it was the same as last month, or month and a half ago when you were here, was a de-acceleration lane, to me is a good thing. And so that would be part of, what I would recommend. Outside of that, I'm comfortable. Thank you.
Thanks. Anything else, Mr. LaBelle? With that, I would entertain a motion.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I'd like to thank the applicant, and we're excited to have you in our city, in our township. I'd like to make a motion to approve the Bass Pro Shop Special Land Use 2023-09. There are still a few items that have to be corrected, and which can be handled administratively. The correction of the document to reflect the 5-foot berm, the addition of the trees on the back side of the property on the decorative wall. There's the gap. The D-cell lane be included in the drawing, and the decorative fence. With that, the proposed property and the location is harmonious with the other area, the zoning in that area. Where they're putting this property will make vehicular and pedestrian traffic no more hazardous. The proposed location of this property and the type of facility that it is, won't cause any kind of nuisance, noises, things of that nature, light, smoke, vibration, things of that nature. The property is also harmonious with the physical and economic aspects of the adjacent land uses as regards prevailing shopping habits. With that, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Support. We have a motion by Mr. LaBelle, supported by Mr. Miller. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Good luck. Thanks for coming
Good
to
luck.
Chesterfield.
Thank you. Number 7 is comments from the floor as permitted by the commission on non-agenda items. Number 8 is non-agenda related communications. Number 9 is receive and file all comments regarding agenda items. Number 10 is committee reports, ordinance amendments, board liaison reports, reviews, discussions from members of the commission, consultants, and township employees. Commissioner comments, Mr. DeMink.
Thanks for a good job. Sorry I had to interject on a few things there tonight, but I just wanted to make sure we're going on the right path. And we'll see you in October.
Mr. Brokart?
I'm all set.
Mr. Renault?
I am set for the evening, thank you.
Mr. Carr?
All set.
Mr. Jaworski?
All set.
Mr. Klinowski? Mr. Leonard?
Just wanted to let the board know that I will not be at the next meeting. I'll be out of town.
Mr. LaBelle?
Well, I'm looking for volunteers for the next meeting, and as Mr. Leonard stated, I won't be here either, so we're going to need to have,
So I've already talked to Mr. Klinowski. He's decided to, he volunteered to be the secretary. So now we need 2 other people to join us at the meeting instead of Mr. Renault and,
Yeah, there's gonna be, a site plan and special land use for outdoor storage, and what was the other one? I said it earlier, no, I don't remember what it was.
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A, yeah.
A lot. What's the date? 19th?
The 19th.
I'll do it.
Okay, so we have Mr. Carr and Mr. Renault and Mr. Klinowski. Because the rest of us have to be here because Mr. Brokart's going to be out of town too.
so Mr. DeBink.
I just want on the record.
So will Mr. DeBink?
I will be here. I'll be here.
So that's 1, 2,
You need 5, so.
You got enough guys?
4.
Brian is 1.
Well, I can count as 2.
Mark is
Yeah, we have 5.
There, 5.
3.
4, 5.
4, 5.
Okay,
One more thing, if you don't mind.
okay.
And also,
Pre-planning?
Let's see, who did we get? We got,
yeah,
Who
Yeah,
volunteered?
I'll be there. I'll go to pre-planning.
okay,
Mr. Carr and
Brian and Mark
Brian and Mark.
Yeah, the 18th.
and James.
And as
Okay.
I stated before, I'd like to start discussing solar fields, solar farms, windmills, things of that nature coming into our township. I really feel that we need to get ahead of what could possibly come into our township and make sure we've got ordinance and we're prepared for it. So I'd like to, as we start to slow down here a little bit, maybe this winter we can start doing something with that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thanks. So are you going to let us know about your definite? I'll let you know. Okay. With that, I will make a motion to adjourn at 8:20.
Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Miller, supported by Mr. DeMink. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.